But the intention from a yogi point of view that I thought we'd look at today, though, is this idea of building strength from within. In yoga, we try to actually work from a place of strength instead of thinking that we're lacking, like instead of saying to ourselves like we're weak and we need to get stronger. It's more like, I already have strength. How do I activate it? Or how do I open it up? How do I, we know of stories of like mums lifting cars off babies or children that are stuck underneath. So we do know that there's more strength than what we often use in every day. So part of yoga is finding that, recognizing it, being more efficient with the way that we use our body, connecting brain to body parts more efficiently, and then finding our strength and then in doing that, we build it. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit? Okay, so it's more like revealing what we already have instead of thinking that we're not enough. And I love that idea because I think a lot of fitness advertising comes from telling us we're not enough and that you need to be better and you need to be stronger. And I like this other perspective. So we will start laying down if you're comfortable to do that. You're always welcome to do something different when we start. What I give is a suggestion. But if you'd like to lay down, head on a blanket if you like having that. And then just pay a little bit of attention to your body as you lay down to figure out where you want your feet. If you have a niggly lower back, you might want your knees bent, your feet on the ground. If you would like to open up the shoulders, you might have your arms out long with your palms facing to the ceiling. You might like your legs to be crossed for a hip opener or butterflied for something even deeper. And then deep inhale in as we open up that chest space, starting our session off. And a long, slow exhale out as you allow all the air to leave your body and have that familiar sensation of letting go. And more deep breaths in, at least 2. Really sensing how it feels in your body to take in that air, moving it through your body, allowing each cell to gain support and nourishment. And then on the exhale, releasing completely, letting go. And then come back into your more natural breathing rhythm. Allowing your breath to be even and smooth. And try not to concentrate too hard on it as we use it as our point of focus for meditation. And with this practice, we are also working on our acceptance. As we let the air come in and out as it wants to, we watch it with a curiosity instead of placing any judgment on it. It's not a good or a bad breath. You're not doing it right or wrong. We just watch how it is. It's the same when we think of our strength. We try not to criticize or judge where we're at now. Instead, we open up to curiosity about what strength we already have and how we can reveal more of it through our practice. As you try to focus on your breath, notice if your mind wanders. Label it as thinking before bringing your attention back to your body and your breath. And then we move into the specific type of breath work that we'll do this morning and this term, which is our belly breathing. Feel free to make any adjustments with your body before moving into it. If you already know how to do it, feel free to move ahead without the cues, or of course tune in to hear the explanation. So as we breathe in, we allow the tummy to expand with our breath, moving towards the ceiling. And then on the out breath, pull the tummy muscles in from the sides and then down to the spine to activate them on the out breath. Inhale to relax and open. Exhale to pull in towards the spine. And then continue. And over time, we work on smoothing out the transition between inhale and exhale. We work on lengthening each phase. And this is a subtle strength practice. So there's no need to rush into it or squeeze too hard. It's one we work on over time. And we finish on an out breath, the longest one that you've done so far. Then when you finish, you can release your entire body energetically, physically. You might even like to do any movements, like stretching out the legs, bringing the knees up to the chest can be a nice counter one for the work through the abdomen. And something that yoga can be really great for is if you end up on bed rest for any reason, like in hospitals or having babies or even surgery and things like that. A whole path of yoga is bed yoga. And things like that are a really great way to still continue to do movement, but without having to get up. Do we feel activated? A little? We'll do some more of that. So laying down, staying down on the mat. We're going to bring arms up to the sides of our head, but we have them in cactus arms, so the elbows are bent and the palms are facing up. But just adjust your elbows to a point where that feels more comfortable because we want them to be flat. And then we're going to ground through the feet here and just lift the hips up a little. So not all the way like a bridge, we'll get to that, but lifting up to maybe halfway and then breathing out to come down. And then once you've done, say, 2 without the specific cue, now try on the next couple to squeeze the tummy in first, squeezing it into the center, pulling it back to the spine, and then lifting up a little before coming back down. And see if you can notice the difference. Activating the strength from within and then doing the work. Did you feel more supported? Did it feel easier, harder? We'll do one more. Squeeze it in just to that halfway. Sometimes using the muscles activates the other muscles to join them, like the glutes, shoulder blades. And then we're going to lift all the way up to a full bridge now. So grounding those feet, but putting the weight through the heels as you activate the core. Squeeze glute muscles in to lift up those hips towards the ceiling. Keeping the knees in at hip width and holding, keeping the tummy squeezed in before breathing out to gently roll all the way down. And then lifting the knees up to the chest, grabbing hold of them as you pull them in. Maybe have the knees a little wider, and we can rock side to side or do hip circles, especially. So sometimes when we do core work, it can be tough for the lower back, so I try to give plenty of breaks for that as well. And then we're going to send our feet up high. Now if this feels uncomfortable, you could prop a blanket or a bolster underneath your hips here. And then we're going to bring our hands behind our ears, so it looks like a bit more of a Pilates type exercise. And then we're just going to do some hip lifts or bum lifts, where we just reach, bring the bum up towards the ceiling. So it lifts a little while the feet move up. And use your breath to do this. We'll go aim for about 5. Finding that evenness. After 5, you might like to rest by bringing the knees in close again and rocking side to side. So you'll notice in yoga as well that a lot of these strength exercises can be quite subtle, but over time we definitely feel them. Now for the next 5, you can either do that again, or if you'd like a little challenge, lift your shoulder blades up off the ground. So squeeze the ab muscles in, lift just the shoulder blades, and then we go again. Bum lift to come up. You might notice how that's changed, made it a little bit more difficult. Evenly with your breath, making sure that you're not holding on to it. And then grabbing hold of those knees and pulling them in. Maybe rocking from side to side again. A little lower back massage. Now we're going to rock up into boat pose here. So remember with this one, we try to come up and then not let our feet touch the ground. So a little momentum as we rock up. And if you feel comfortable, just go straight into boat. Then feel free to do that. Beautiful. You got it, Loretta. Big one. Big rock. Yes, you are so close. You can bring those feet down. Sorry, I'm too busy. I was too busy cheering for you that I forgot we're all holding boat pose the whole time. Okay, so for this one, we'll go into a few options for it as well. So here, for it to be a core activity, we do bring the abdominal muscles in and send them towards the spine. And we lift up nice and tall. But then the first one can be to hold on to legs and just lift one up at a time. That might be your boat pose today. Or you could hold onto your legs, lean back a little to come into supported boat pose. Or if you were happy before to have your hands out long, we can do that one as well. Nice straight back, notice the core, doing that work, breathing gently before releasing.
What kind of boat am I?
Well, what boat would you like to be?
I would like to transport things.
Okay, you can be a big boat then. You could even let your arms and legs go and be a woohoo boat.
What kind of boat
Does
is
it?
with people?
Yeah, fair enough. Do you guys feel like hips feel that?
Yeah.
Do you get that? Yeah, especially trying to keep, because your knees want to come out.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it right, I feel like you definitely feel it in your hips as you're trying to pull it in. There is a lot of balance to that one, definitely. All right, we're going to swing our feet out to the side now, out to the side and roll over to hands and knees. Now, if you would like a blanket under your knees, feel free to pop it there. And then because we are doing work, when we do core work, we are kind of working with the spine as well. So we'll do our cat-cows to give it a little stretch. So we inhale to lift the chest and the head up as we drop the tummy now down and change that pelvis. And then on the out breath, chin towards chest, round the spine, tucking the tailbone under. And just do one more in your time with your breath. Nice and gentle. Before coming back to neutral. And if you come up on your fingertips here and round your spine, we're going to bring the left leg through to the front. Now it might be easy to bring it out as well, whatever works for you to get that foot to the front. And then we want to walk it far enough to the front that make sure that back knee is on an angle behind the hip. And inhale to lift those arms up. So we're getting a nice stretch through that back, and notice that it's a bit wobbly because it is a core activity. But now I'm going to get you to bring the hands back down again. And we did that without me cueing the core. See how it feels now to activate the core first, pull it in towards your spine, ground through your feet, and then lift up. Did it make any difference? Yeah, it's cool, hey? And it feels strong from within. Like you feel, and then you feel like all your body parts are coming from your core instead of these gangly things that are trying to lift yourself up. And then palm facing in. And then if we soften those hips a little, you might be able to sink down into them and get a bit more of a stretch through that back. And then we're going to bring the right hand down to the inside of the leg here. If you'd like some more height, you could have your block, because we're turning it into a twist where the other hand is on the hip. But see how you feel about that, Montana, because you could twist the other way if you want some more space around tummy. And then we're going to lift up and again, activate the core first to feel the strength as you let go of everything with your hands and lift yourself up to open up the arms to come into a twist. Now check on these hips because this bent one wants to rise up. So we kind of need to use the muscles to even them out. Yes, I saw some cool adjustments then. And then dropping that back hand down, reaching the top one up, keeping that core strong as you lean back on a 45, just getting a good stretch through that hip. And then bringing both hands down to the mat, sending the front one back, and we'll come into a child's pose before doing the other side. You could have wide knees or closed knees, whatever you prefer, as you send the arms out long and push down on them to send the glutes back to the heels. Keep the elbows lifted for a nice stretch, and then use the out breath to sink down. If your head makes it to the ground, leave it there, or you could pop a block underneath. And then we'll inhale to lift up and move into that low lunge on the other side. So bringing the right leg forward this time. Walking the foot forward so you get the right angle with that back leg. And then when you're ready, activate the core and feel that strength from within as you lift yourself up, noticing how that feels as you reach. Palms facing in, nicely done, Loretta. And sinking a little deeper down into it, get a stretch through the hips. And then, if it's not active already, activate core and then open up to the twist. Now, if you find that back arm feels quite tight, bring it to your shoulder, to your hip, open your shoulder up more and then bring the arm out. You might find you get a little further. And then we drop the back hand down, reach the front one up, and then move it over into that kind of 45-degree angle. Before coming on down, pushing that front foot back and down into child's pose. Allowing your entire body to rest down. And just check in with that core. And then we'll inhale to come up to our standing poses from here. So grounding through the hands, curling the back toes up, downward facing dog, and that in itself is a good core activity as we bring the hips up. You find you end up with sore lower back if you don't use your core there. So spread out the fingers, send the seat bones up tall, nice long legs, and then if you can, send the heels down towards the mat, but without sacrificing the height of the hips. And then we bend one knee while lengthening the other. Using the breath. And then walking our feet up towards the front of the mat. And then inhaling to reach the hands out to the side, lifting all the way up to the top. And then hands down to heart space. And now that we're standing, we'll come into our chair pose flow that works on that core as well. So this is the same one we did yesterday. So good for the legs as well as the core, but we'll try and focus more on this space. So grounding through the feet, we bend the knees. I should say, we'll lift the arms up first. We'll lift the arms up first. And then bending the knees, sending seat bones back, and then come down. So we did a lot of these with our hip work last term. Then we bring hands to heart space. Notice your core. Can you pull them in and get nice and tall as you do that, and then twist over to the right side. Trying to keep the rest of your body still as we then keep that core active, coming back into the center, and then over to the other side. Back into center, and then release with little wiggles. Yes, that is a tough one. Now, if you do, I love twists for core work as well, because if you have that tight, it feels like it's the axes of your twist and everything just kind of moves from there. Instead of like hips going and then shoulders going, it can feel a lot stronger. Even compare it if you have the time to. We're going to do that again, except this time when we get to the side, we're going to drop one hand down and try to work towards the other one coming up, but keeping them away from our body so that we get to that core work. Remember to choose your variation that I'll show you in a moment too. So we'll bring those palms up, exhale to come down, breathing gently as you do that. Hands to the heart space, nice and tall through the body as you activate that core, and feel the strength from within as you come over to that right side, and then drop the left hand down, and then other hand can be on your hip, or if you feel like you can extend it up, do that, but not touching anything so that we're using the core. And then hands back to heart space, and we'll lift up. We'll ground through the feet and lift up for a little break in between. I'm sure the legs would appreciate that. There's a lot of
pulling in my legs for that one.
amazing. It means you're doing the work. So release the arms up again with the palms facing in. Breathing out to come down. Hands to heart space as we get tall, activate core and move over to that other side now. Dropping the right hand down, left on the hip, or maybe extending up. Before then dropping back to heart space and coming all the way back up to the top. Gets a bit hot doing those ones, doesn't it? Yeah. Means we're doing it right, to get that through the body. Okay, we're going to come towards the front of the mat now. And if you just make sure that you have a block with you for that.
I'm going to have the strongest legs after this.
Yeah. Strong legs, strong tummy.
Strong core.
And it does, honestly, I find after, like for me, I actually do feel when I walk around without paying as much attention now, that I do feel like I'm strong in the core, and it feels like it opens up your chest too when you walk around more confidently. Like it just has this really lovely effect, I guess. So we're going to come into a bit of a balanced flow. So for it, we're going to start with hands to heart space, and it's kind of like chair pose as we come down. So we will send the seat bones back and bend the knees, but as we come down, we're going to lean on one leg, so lean onto the left leg to start with, as we lift the right one up, and then we bring that leg behind. So this is a Shiva squat. You can either leave the foot up, or if you'd like the support, pop it down. And then we bend into this leg, grab hold of the block in front, but then we're using that core to open up, send that leg back to come into a supported warrior 3, and then opening up into our half moon. So half moon, we want the hips open. We did a fair bit of work on this last term as well, but it's been a little minute. So give yourself that self-kindness. And once you've held it with a breath or two, we drop the back foot down behind. I'll come and watch more. We'll do this routine a couple of times. So drop that back leg down nice and wide. And then we lift on up to come into a wide leg forward fold. Toes facing to the front. Hands behind ears. Nice and tall through the body. Activate the core to help bring you down. Noticing the strength from within that you already have. And then as you come down, release your hands. Right arm goes to left foot towards it. The other one on the hip or up towards the ceiling. And then we swap. So we go over to the other side. Left hand on right foot, right arm up. And then we come back into the center, hands behind ears, squeezing in that core, and then lifting ourselves up all the way to the top. Turn left foot towards the front of the mat to come into Trikonasana now. Arms out long. And then on the out breath, allowing this left hand to come down. The right one reaches up, but trying not to, if you come down the other way, Leah, yeah. Trying not to touch anything. So not touching the leg, the ground, a block, but using the core to support you. So activate that, feel that work from there. And then we're going to pivot from here, turning the hips towards the mat now. So we pivot on that back foot. Step in a little because it can be a little bit more comfortable to do it this way. Pyramid pose is both straight legs, but arms are going to go back for this one. Activate the core, chest out long, and then coming on down as far as it works for you. Breathing gently. And then for the last part of the pose, we push off this back leg to come into dancer. So as we push off, we want to grab hold of that foot with that hand. Maybe staying here or leaning out, pushing the foot into the hand, opening up that abdominal space. It's more of a stretch for the core now. And then we release. To come down is the plan. But let's practice that bit again before coming into the other side. So we've come from Trikonasana to pyramid. Nice and long here. Arms are coming back and we won't stay there for as long as you push into that left leg. And the idea is to push up and grab hold of the foot. However, that's hard. Nice work, Helen. And if that's your pose there too, you don't even have to grab, because that looked very strong to push off that leg for that. That's it, Jade. And then just popping the foot down when you're done. How you going with that, Bron? I wonder if, rather than grabbing hold of your foot, I think the same, if you push off there and then lift it up, and then that's okay, and then lift the other arm up. Yeah, because I think trying to grab that, do you think that's what causes? Yeah, so I think just holding it up and even just leaning forward as you reach the hand back, and you don't have to worry too much about grabbing hold of it, I reckon. Yes, and all of that is perfect, Bron. Yes, yes. So I feel like all those bits are just little extra bits. How's the legs feeling?
Strong.
With all that strong?
I can feel the rubber bands going.
Yes, it'll be even better tomorrow, I think.
I'm going so confidently.
Yeah, exactly, with that core tight and those shoulders strong. All right, well, let's go to the other side. Before then, though, we might just take a nice deep breath in as we lift the arms up. And long out breath out as you bend from the hips. Come down towards the mat and grab hold of the elbows, or maybe slide out to the wrists. And then allow the whole top part of your body to rest as you rock from side to side here. And just breathing gently. It's a little stretch through the legs and a little release. And then we'll inhale to lift up, making sure that you have a block in front again. Beautiful, yeah. And actually it feels better to finish it off like that too, Jade, and come back to heart space. Okay, right side now. Bending down, knees bend, bum goes back. So it's like a little chair pose. And as we come down closer, we lean into that right side, lift the left to come into a Shiva squat behind. You can stay here or drop the foot down. And then we straighten that leg using the core to help, feeling the strength from within. Dropping the hands down to the block for a supported aeroplane, or bring that same hand to the block and open up for our half moon. Now this one, we want that core to be strong to help here as we rotate around. And then maybe reaching that top arm up. But any version, staying with the aeroplane is a good option too. And we drop that back foot down. Beautiful. Turning the toes out, maybe going a little wider. Hands behind ears as we lift nice and tall, squeeze the core in as we bend from the hips, sending the chest down. As we get to the bottom, we release the hands, right hand to left foot, left arm up to the sky. And then we do the same. We swap and go to the other side while I turn the air conditioning on for us. And then coming back to the center, hands behind ears, and then bring yourself up to the top. Slowly, gently using that core. Nicely done, Helen. And then we turn towards the front of the mat to come into our Trikonasana. So pivoting around, arms nice and long. And on the out breath, we lean to come down, but keeping that core strong. So bringing it towards the spine, sending the hand down, lifting the other one up, trying not to touch anything as you squeeze glutes, squeeze core to stay there. And then we pivot, or inhale to come up first. Pivot that back foot around. I find hands on hips helps to stabilize as you come into pyramid. Strong straight legs, chest forward as we come down. Send the arms out back behind, keeping the core active. And then when you're ready, pushing into that front leg, maybe grabbing hold of the other one, maybe staying here or leaning into it to come into dancer. Taking your time, coming out whenever you need to. If we can feel this. And then feel free to come down. That's a really strong pose. Beautiful. Inhaling, arms to come up. Exhaling to come all the way down. Ragdoll before we do that on both sides to finish off. So allowing yourself to drop completely. And just pay attention to your core now, the work that we've done. And then we'll inhale to reach the arms up and then back down to heart space. So we'll do that flow again, but a little faster using the breath. And I'll try and cue you, but I will try and walk around to give any feedback if I can as well. Okay? So hands to heart space to start with. We'll lean into the left side this time. So chair pose to come down. As we get there, lean over to that left side. Bringing the foot in behind for a Shiva squat. The foot can be down on the ground. Oh, we're doing, yeah, just like that. And then bending into that one there. And then bringing your hands down towards the block to come into a supported warrior 3 or aeroplane pose. So hips facing the ground first, and then we roll the hips up to come into a half moon. That's it, Jade. And then try to roll that top hip. Yeah, that's it. Same for you, so rolling that top hip up. Beautiful. And then we bring that leg down, nice wide stance, turning the toes towards the front to come into our forward fold. Hands behind the ears, nice tall body. Exhale, squeeze core to come down. And then when you get there, release the hands for the twist. Tamara, how'd that feel if your legs were wider? Does that feel okay? Yeah, keep going a little bit because you've got those lovely long legs. Yeah, and then you'll notice you can get closer to the ground. And then once you've done one each side, that looks lovely there too, Helen, yep, one. Hands back behind ears, And try to do it as slowly as you can, just like that, Montana. Yeah, really squeezing that core in as you lift up. Yes. That just looks so strong, looking at that from here, by the way. And then turning towards the front of your mat to come into Trikonasana here. So just pivoting that back foot around and the arms out long. Activate the core and then bring that left hand down towards the mat. So if you go the other way and shoulders, yeah, and then that hand comes, this one comes down, yep. Squeezing this one in. How does it feel if you have longer? Yeah, I know. That's what, so sometimes us little ones need to use what we've got, right? And then we pivot. As we inhale to come up, we pivot that back foot for pyramid, maybe bringing the foot in, and then inhaling to get tall, coming on down, squeezing the core in so that we can stay hovering without putting our weight onto anything, and then send the arms back to add to it as well. And hold the core before then pushing off that back foot to come into your version of dancer pose, whatever that was that you discovered from before. That's it, Jade. Yeah. And then we gently bring that back foot down, almost made it, back foot down to the front. And we'll inhale the arms to come up. Exhale to come down into ragdoll, just in between each one. When we do this strength work, it's nice to have the rest in between so that we get the most out of our bodies. And then we'll inhale the arms to come all the way up. Hands down to heart space. Do the last one on the last side now. Are we on the left side? Right side. Okay. Ground through that right, chair pose first. Coming on down, chair pose. Ground through that right foot as you lean over, bringing the left leg out and around for your Shiva squat. Finding the block with your hands, and remember to start first with the hips facing the ground. So we come into supported aeroplane first, and then roll the hip and the shoulder up to come into the half moon. That looked beautiful, Jade. Staying at aeroplane if you'd like to though. And then dropping the back foot down, nice and long and wide. So whatever you think your wide leg is, see how it feels to just go a little wider actually. Sometimes toes towards the front, hands behind the ears, activate the core. Yeah, with your feet facing that way now. Oh, I've cramped. Okay, take your time. No, you're all right. Exhaling to come down, using the core to get you there. And then dropping your hands for the twist. Beautiful. Right hand to left, and then left hand to right foot. Coming up for that lovely twist. Yes. And then back to the center, hands behind ears. And then inhaling, squeezing the core in to come all the way up. Helen, you look so strong when you're doing that. I hope it feels that way. And then turning towards the front of the mat for Trikonasana. Again, nice length here as well. Arms out long. And then on the out breath, coming on down, but keeping the core strong. So we feel the twist comes from there. Trying not to touch anything if we can. Of course, if you'd like the support, you can access that. And then inhale to lift up, pivot towards the front, bringing that back foot in a little if you'd like as you straighten the legs. Chest comes down, arms get sent back. And then we push off to come into dancer. Your version of dancer. If you know that this leg isn't a great one, you can always use your block here too. You could put your hand on your block and grab hold of your foot at the back if that helps give. And we do that for a few breaths before inhaling to come up. And then bringing the knee down. Exactly. Inhale, come into a nice big arm reach here, and then out breath to come down, grabbing hold of elbows, sliding out to wrist somewhere, and then really allowing your entire body to drop now. You might even notice that you drop a little further now that both legs are quite warm and you've done a lot of that work. We find that even breath. And then hands down to the mat, bringing the knees down as well. So just stepping a big step back so we kind of recenter. And then we walk the hands into the knees and then lift up tall on our knees. Now we won't be here long, but if you do want a blanket under there, feel free to do that. Camel will be part of the poses that we do with our core most weeks. So if you remember from last week, thumb to the inside, fingers to the outside, so we just want to support that lower back. As we inhale to get tall through here, and then out breath, we still activate the core because we use that to help lean us back into our camel pose. If you find lower back gets uncomfortable, squeeze glute muscles in to see if that helps. If it doesn't, don't go any further. And then lifting from the heart space first, so we don't hurt our neck, to come up to the top. And then we go one more time. You can either do that version, or the other two versions is to touch the blocks, but you really need to push those hips forward. Or the last version is to touch your heels, but it's really important because it's not this pose, which is a good strength pose. It is like it's a back bend. So we really want to push those hips forward. So take your time. We lift up first, and then pushing the hips forward, leaning the chest back, elbows push in together. That's looking good over there tomorrow. And then choose where you want your hands. If they feel like they can leave your lower back, you can find the blocks. They're sometimes hard to find. Or maybe if that feels okay, you can come to the heels, and then we lift up from the heart space. So, beautiful. You did that coming out of that perfectly, Bron. I could see that heart lifting first. Yeah, it's very cool. And then we come down to child's pose. All the way down, you'll notice that this one is the opposite of a back bend. It's a back extension. So as we bring our head down and try to get our bum towards our heels, we're getting this nice little curve through our backs. So we'll stay here for a little mini. If you'd like to have a block under your head, you can as well. It could make it a little bit more relaxing. And you can drop the elbows down if you'd like. And then take nice deep breaths in and long, slow breaths out. As you pay attention to your body now as it starts to cool down. And then we'll inhale to lift up from here. And we'll make our way down to laying, and we will stay here between now and Shavasana. So if you grab your blanket to have under your head, if you like that anyway, just make sure your bolster is handy because we'll use it in a moment. And then we're going to move into banana pose to stretch out those obliques. For that one, we lift our arms up over our head and grab hold of either elbows or slide down towards wrists until you find a good spot. And then we lift the shoulder blades up, bring them over to the left side and bring yourself back down again. If that makes it uncomfortable with the blanket, just move it around. And then we do the same with the legs. So the legs move to the left, keeping the hips even on the ground here. So we come into this kind of flat banana pose. If you'd like to deepen that outside leg, so the right one in this case, can cross over the top, but make sure that the hip goes back down to the ground because it will lift as you try to do that. And then find your edge for that pose and stay there with the breath, allowing that out breath to sink you down. If you have your legs long, yeah, no, exactly, but bring them together maybe. So keeping that hip down on the ground. Yeah, so maybe let go of elbows. Bring them just up above your head, yeah. And then bring that hip down and kind of move. So it's more like this. Kind of grab and straighten that one. Yeah, so we more just want flat to the side. Yeah, cool, beautiful. And on an inhale, we release and come back up to the middle. Feel free to make any movements in your body before making your way over to the other side. So inhaling to lift Exhale to move the shoulders over to the other side, the right side, lifting the feet up and moving them over too. And then if that doesn't feel like enough of a stretch, you could try crossing the leg over. Then deep breaths in, long breaths out. Just noticing the parts of your body that feel activated now or lengthened. Maybe where your mind's at, where your breathing is at. And then we inhale to come back up to the middle. And the last pose before Shavasana is a restorative bridge pose. So it's one where we have the bolster underneath the hips. And I find if you're laying down, lifting the hips up and then sliding your bolster in underneath can be a good way to do that. And then we walk the feet out to the outer edges of the mat. Allow the knees to fall in. And then hands either on tummy or out to the side with palms up. Just wiggle the shoulders around a little so they're pulled away from the ears, and nice deep breath in and then a long breath out. And here it's nice to reflect on the strength of your core, what you already had there. And many of you, with that reminder to activate the core, were able to move deeper into poses or look strong in the way that you did them. So we can find some gratefulness and appreciation for what we have and work towards activating it more often. And then we'll move into Shavasana from here. If you like this pose, feel free to stay. Or if you'd rather roll the bolster down to underneath your knees, like we often do in Shavasana, feel free to do that one as well, while I bring around the eye pillows. And it will start to get cold, so if you want to put your socks and things back on, it's a great opportunity for that. Yeah, and I mean, I can turn the air cons off as well, if that helps. And do you find your body does cool down pretty quickly after? Yeah. I do, yeah, I'm a bit the same. No worries. You're all over. And I feel like you can't really relax when you feel uncomfortable with the cold. Hey, no, I hear you. For you, and none for tomorrow. And you're all sorted tomorrow for Shavasana? And I do think when people walk past here and see us with our eye pillows on and the blankets, that they think I'm teaching sleeping or something. All part of it.
Sleeping class.
Exactly. People would come to that, right? Well, essentially that's restorative, I guess, isn't it? And we take a nice... What's that, sorry? Yeah, nice. Yeah, exercise class, my ass.
So you mean to tell me instead of an existential crisis class, they took a sleep class?
Yes, yes, that helps, right? So nice deep breath in. I'll give you this time for relaxation now. Long, slow release breath out. And we've spent a lot of the session feeling active, specifically telling our brain to activate our core. And sometimes, especially if we did it well, it remains active and it's hard to relax. So in Shavasana, we do the contrast and we try to release the body completely to allow yourself to consolidate all the work that we just did. And to help with that, we use our body scan. Starting down at the toes and the feet, and notice how they feel now after our session. But on the out breath, relax them further, reminding them that it's time now for rest. Then inhaling to come up to the legs, noticing how they feel before using the out breath to let them feel heavy and relaxed. And then bring awareness to the hips, glutes, pelvic floor that often activate when we're doing core work. Notice how they feel in this moment, but can you use the breath to soften them? So the entire lower half of your body feels more at ease. And then we inhale to come up to abdomen, lower back, and the space in between. Being aware specifically of how the core feels after the specific movements this morning. On the out breath, actively rest your core by allowing it to release, sinking the lower back down into the mat and feeling a sense of relaxation. Then breathe in to come up to the chest and take a moment to tune into it, noticing the rising and falling of that space, the movement of the ribs, the beating of the heart. And then on an out breath, allow all the air to leave your body as you sink more deeply down into the mat. Become aware of your shoulders as you scan out to your fingertips and consciously relax each part. Shoulders, upper arms, lower arms, hands, fingers. And using an out breath to allow them to feel heavy and relaxed. And then notice your face. Let the jaw relax as you create space between your teeth. Let the tongue leave the roof of your mouth. Relax your forehead, your temples, the space between your eyebrows. So all the muscles in your face just let go. Then take in that amazing body of yours that already has strength to be revealed. And we notice it from head to toe, finding gratefulness for all the things that it can do instead of focusing on what it can't. And on the out breath, relax every part of the body so that we surrender completely, letting go of all control. And giving ourselves permission to rest for now. As you lay here in this peace, notice the thoughts that come up, but don't let them interrupt your calm. Watch as if they're happening on the outside. As often as you need to, bring your attention back to your breath and your body, always with Maitri, unconditional loving kindness. And just take a nice deep breath in. A long, slow release breath out as you start to move the small parts of your body first. Just bringing yourself back into the room. You might then start to move the larger parts of your body, like legs, arms, torso. And then feel free to stay where you are for an extra moment, enjoying the stillness. Or you can gently bring your way up to sitting. And choosing any movements that your body would like as you get here, which could be more stillness, especially if you know that the rest of your day could be hectic from here. And then we'll finish with our Oms and Shantis. Feel free to join in or just listen if you'd prefer. Hands either on legs or to heart space. Remember, it's 3 Oms, 3 Shantis, starting with an in-breath. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now inhale the arms to come. Exhale down to heart space. As we finish with, may you be kind to yourself and others.